In this episode, it commences with Nina being apprised by her housekeeper that this will now be her sleeping quarters, a completely isolated chamber. Nina is distressed by this, as she doesn't desire a separate room. At that juncture, Set inquires of her, "Did you yearn to slumber with me that intensely?" Flustered, she refutes it, but she insists on knowing the justification. Set clarifies that these are mandates that must be obeyed. Furthermore, it's a decree from the senior administration, although it's not formalized yet, and the existing lineage will be revoked, signifying Set will no longer be the crown prince. Moreover, whomever becomes Princess Fortina's chosen suitor, amongst the 4 princes, will be designated the reigning monarch. Nina is astonished by this disclosure. Subsequently, Nina exits with her housekeeper following close behind, who cautions her that she's not permitted to depart the White Wing. Nevertheless, Nina reassures her she'll be all right and is only taking a quick glance around outside. She's still irate about having to reside alone in a chamber. At that instant, she happens upon some affiliates of the royal household. One of them is Yi, the prince of the Blackwing. This demonstrates to us, esteemed spectators, that they are all endeavoring to garner her approval to be selected as the next sovereign. Yu informs her she's invited to pass some time in the Blackwing, but she replies that she cannot because she has creatures to tend to and hasn't sought Set's authorization. Yu becomes enraged and asserts that she doesn't require Set's consent, as she possesses complete autonomy to frequent any wing. From this, Nina gleans additional knowledge, comprehending that Set is undeniably no longer the crown prince. Yu then declares to her that he desires her to be his consort so he can govern the realm. A short time later, some functionaries contact Nina, striving to blemish Set's standing by divulging that his mother, in spite of being a consecrated woman, participated in illicit liaisons, thereby suggesting she wasn't virtuous. Pesha notifies Nina that he has arranged a lavish chamber for her to occupy, startling her, as she primarily presumes he aims to lodge with her. He explains that he harbors no such designs, as they are not wed yet. Nina then proceeds to the expansive room you arranged for her on the upper level. She commences to contemplate Set, thinking to herself, "Perhaps Set doesn't adore me or cherish me. I believed we had commenced to appreciate each other, but it appears I was mistaken." At that moment, her housekeeper enters with supper. After dining, Nina restrains the sentinel and flees. Tidings swiftly reach Ya, who directs that she be retrieved instantly. In the meantime, we observe Nina sprinting, resolved to come back. She halts to regain her composure, questioning, "Is there actually any value in returning? I don't believe Set desires me. But ultimately, I'll go back to attend to Nina and Miva." And the vista shifts to Prince Set, where his counsel advises him that Prince Ya might have abducted her, and her housekeepers are profoundly apprehensive about her. Hakami interjects, stating she will proceed to Prince Ya, even if it entails enduring whatever penalty it necessitates. Set placidly advises her not to burden herself, to which Hakami responds, "How can you utter that? Does this indicate you don't covet the throne?" Set answers, "The throne isn't worthwhile contending for. It will come into my possession even if I don't desire it. I've suffered sufficiently, and I've already eliminated innumerable individuals." The scene then changes to Nina, who is endeavoring to leap from a casement. She is startled by a youthful gentleman, Bido, the younger sibling of the third prince. She tells him she wishes to return to the White Wing, but he maintains they proceed to the Purple Wing initially, where he pledges to tell her more. It seems everyone is vying for her regard to secure the kingship. At that moment, Prince Ya enters with his retinue. They insist that Beto release Nina instantly, reminding him that he is currently in the Blackwing. Prince Ya commands his warriors to seize Nina and, shockingly, directs them to sever her feet to hinder her from escaping again. As the soldiers advance to execute his orders, he requires an expression of remorse from Nina. She declines, saying she's committed no transgression. Shutting her eyes, she anticipates the inescapable. Unexpectedly, Prince Set appears. Nina, surprised, thinks to herself, "Did he come to rescue me?" Infuriated, Ye confronts Set, blaming him of infiltrating his royal chambers. Set serenely retorts, "Very well, summon the guards if you wish." Set then tells Nina to rise and accompany him. Beto intervenes, professing that Set isn't the sole one with the entitlement to lay claim to Princess Fortina. Set acknowledges this, stating, "I understand you, Yer, and Tot all possess the identical entitlement, but Alicia is mine, and I won't permit anyone else to have her." Nina, now addressed as Alicia, returns with Set. He attempts to elevate her spirits, but she objects. However, she recollects that he spared her from having her legs amputated, prompting her to resolve to treat him more favorably. The scene shifts to Ikami and Anne, and comments that the prince and princess seem to have become quite intimate. Hakami dismisses the remark, but Anne perceives Hakami's disquiet. Aokami's frigid demeanor toward Alicia reveals she doesn't regard her with the same deference as a housekeeper would her mistress, implying something profounder. Alicia abruptly rushes into the room, yelling. She tells and that Set declines to depart her side, and she's frightened of him. Set follows her in, calmly directing her not to wander from his view. The following day, Alicia is strolling through the palace and when one of the palace sentinels comes near, he informs her that some individuals from the Blackwing have appeared to see her. Alicia goes to meet them, and they implore her to pardon Ya. They maintain he never genuinely meant to sever her legs, as he detests the spectacle of blood. They explain that he is impetuous, but overflowing with youthful vigor. They beseech Alicia to grant you an opportunity to become monarch. Alicia starts to ponder their statements, atd. Alicia carries on walking with Anne, reflecting on what the individuals from the Black Wing had conveyed to her. She finds their statements dubious, particularly because whomever makes her their consort will acquire the throne. She still doesn't grasp what the king is pondering, as he refuses even to encounter her. As Alicia proceeds to the garden for some fresh air, her mind races with perplexity about everything transpiring around her. At that juncture, she meets the fourth prince, Tot. Annoyed, she frowns, knowing he, too, aspires to the throne. Tot swiftly requests her not to be apprehensive around him, assuring her that he doesn't want the throne. But he then praises her, stating she's a remarkable individual. Tot informs her he's never witnessed Set conduct himself the way he does around her. Set, he explains, has never performed anything for anyone previously, and Tot understands why. Set isn't a conventional person. Tot states while he only considers battles, Set participated in his first combat when he was 12, directing the advance guard without a trace of trepidation, and it is said he eliminated hundreds of adversaries. In spite of his youthful age, his extensive hair flowing behind him caused him to resemble the Grim Reaper's instrument. Everyone proclaims he'll transform into a tyrant who slaughters indiscriminately, cursed by the Temple of Blood, but then informs Alicia that, while all of them possess their imperfections, they're still her optimal selections, and she should refrain from selecting Set, who he alleges will taint her. Insulted, Alicia cautions him not to disseminate unsubstantiated gossip as if they were certainties and departs from him to go back to her room. Later, back in her quarters, Alicia contemplates Tot's words when Set visits her. He inquires why she hasn't departed the White Wing. She, in turn, questions him about the Temple of Blood. Set tenses at the mention of it and asks her why she desires to know. When she explains that someone alluded to it to her, he reluctantly consents to reveal everything to her. Set escorts her to the Temple of Blood. Alicia trembles in the chilly air encompassing the location. Set starts to narrate its somber chronicle. Years ago, here in this precise spot, the chief priest of the temple leaped from the rooftop and perished. It was a gruesome spectacle. That's why this location is referred to as the Temple of Blood. I was reared within these partitions, concealed from the royal lineage. A woman who dishonored herself by engaging in a romance with the king, while a nun, delivered me here. She sought to terminate her pregnancy entirely. They recount her allure was unforgettable. Alicia interjects, inquiring, was the chief priest who leaped paternal to you? Set affirms, he attended to me because he cherished the woman who birthed me with an unwavering devotion. Occasionally he regarded me as her son. At other times, he perceived me as the scorned king's offspring who sullied the nun's reputation. I dreaded every time that portal would swing open because I never knew how he would behave towards me that day. Once, he deserted me for several days. I nearly perished from starvation amidst the stench of squalor. I presumed I wouldn't emerge alive. Alicia listens attentively, appalled by his distressing childhood. And before winter commenced that year, the reality was unveiled. Someone from the temple notified the palace of everything. Sentinels were dispatched to escort me away. We perceived the chief priest, deeply grieved by Set's departure, condemning the king who had deprived him of everything. Unable to endure the bereavement, the priest terminated his own life. And the unappealing realities of this existence, Set proceeded, are inescapable. The temple was forsaken after that. Individuals cannot take flight. They are merely masses of flesh. Everything they attain diminishes. Thoughts and feelings dissipate like ocean froth. Alicia was overcome, tears flowing down her face as she gazed at Set with intense grief. He turned to her and inquired, why are you regarding me in that manner? Are these tears even valuable, or are they frivolous? Alicia responded, they do possess significance. How can you speak of him as if he were insignificant? You should acknowledge how challenging this must have been for you. Set responded, there's no necessity for such sentiments anymore. They hold no relevance now. I haven't frequented this location in years, and yet I experience nothing. There's no aroma, no indication of blood. It's as if it was all merely a delusion. Alicia thought to herself, Set's heart was interred here. Feeling nothing is the core of demise, and it makes him feel at tranquility. But this isn't correct. Such sorrow is improper. Set then inquired of her, Do you wish to comprehend why I conveyed you here? Alicia advanced closer and embraced him, stating, "What can I perform for you? I'm not intelligent enough to discern what to utter, but you can't endure this alone. Whether you're a destitute individual or a prince, no one can confront such matters unaccompanied. If you believe expiring is something joyous, I desire you to comprehend. I'll educate you what felicity genuinely is. I'll treasure you for an eternity." At that instant, white flakes commenced descending around them. Alicia looked up in astonishment and stated, "What is this?" Set responded, "It's snow. It floats with the breeze from the snow-covered crests. We're adjacent to the mountains here." Alicia marveled at the spectacle, stating, "It's so exquisite. This is such a delightful location." Set, however, shook his head. "Unlikely. This location shouldn't be exquisite. But this is the realm you perceive," Alicia countered. "It's sufficient to overpower everything." The scene then shifts to the palace, where turmoil pervades the atmosphere. Set enters, inquiring, "What's all this clamor? What's occurred?" A man replies, "A courier from Fortina has appeared. A new sovereign has ascended the throne and has solicited a conference in the springtime. The coronation ritual transpired approximately a month and a half ago. It seems our informants were compelled to transmit inaccurate accounts." Tot asks pointedly, "Did that idiotic monarch unexpectedly expire?" The man replies, "You'll have to inquire the couriers for the specifics, but the one who currently occupies the throne is the second prince, Azure." Alicia is taken aback, apprehension gripping her as she exclaims, "Azure is the monarch now." She hurries away, gazing down from a terrace at the incoming emissaries. Amongst them stands Azure, now the sovereign, proceeding into the palace.